Well, he could have been their best offensive player if they utilized him right. Le'Veon's coming off a hamstring injury. He's been in and out of the lineup throughout his Jet career. But even when he's been healthy, I still feel like that they, for whatever reason, Adam Gase and the offensive staff just couldn't figure out how to utilize him the way Todd Haley and the Pittsburgh Steelers did when he was with the Steelers last. And so this is what you get. You got a head coach who did not necessarily want to sign him and pay him that type of money that Mike McCagnon did when he was the general manager. So there was a relationship problem that started way back when and kind of came into where it is today, where Le'Veon Bell at 4 o'clock Eastern time will be a free agent and to sign with anybody that he chooses to sign with, which will probably be like the New England Patriots. And he'll go on to rush for 1,200 yards this year.
Aren't head coaches supposed to be expert communicators? Like, is this a prerequisite that we have? I know, but is this a prerequisite that we have lost when you determine a head coach? Yeah, you might be able to come up with the best X's and O's. You might be a brilliant mind, but how you communicate those X's and O's to your players, how you communicate your relationship to those players, that's a pretty important aspect or, attribute to be a coach. And I just feel like all-star players that I've seen Adam Gase interact with, there seems to be a communications issue, Key. It's a consistent theme with who he is as a coach. If that goes back to Jarvis Landry and his time with Miami, where he tried to say, hey, look, I'm going to send you to the Browns. If you don't get in line, you don't communicate to your star player that way. If that's issues that happened with Le'Veon Bell earlier at training camp when they got into a little bit of a feud about taking him off the field during a scrimmage, and then Le'Veon Bell going back at him via Twitter, how did you work out that communication? If that's with Jamal Adams, and I know that's more of a Joe Douglas issue, but you could be the person to de-escalate that to how you're working with Sam Darnold. There seems to be a consistent theme here with Adam Gase, and I feel like it's a matter of time before it's gone, but somebody got to call it out for what it is now.
That's just today's players,
It's just, these guys today.
As he would say, right?
They rather communicate via social media.
That's just today's players.
And Joe Douglas, for those that may not be aware, currently the Jets GM. Welcome back to Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. We're coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. And let's welcome in ESPN Jets reporter Rich Cimini on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. All right, Rich, just take me through and all of our listeners through exactly what happened yesterday, minute by minute, with the eventuality of him being released.
First of all, I want to say it would have been fascinating to cover Keyshawn back with the Jets if we had social media in those days.
Tell him, Rich. Tell him.
I wouldn't have used social media. You know me, Rich. I didn't give y'all anything.
Well, Keyshawn would just tell you to your face. Like, he would just say it in the locker room how he felt. So at least I give him credit for that. He was accountable. Le'Veon going the social media route. But anyway, to your question, Zubin, this, like Keyshawn just said, Adam really didn't want to sign him because of the money involved. So that's never a good way to start a relationship. And there were little brush fires over the last 19 months. And, the last straw, the breaking point was Sunday, where he only got one target in the passing game against Arizona. He had some passive-aggressive activity on Twitter, liking some tweets that suggested he should be traded, blew off the media. And what happened was on Monday, he sat down with Gase and Douglas. They talked it out, and they all came to the conclusion that it was best to move on. They did try to trade him over the last 2 days. The contract was so enormous that they couldn't find a taker, and eventually came to the conclusion that they had last night to release him.
Let me ask you this, Rich, and you've been around the team covering it, obviously, as a beat writer for us here at ESPN. Why be stubborn, and I like to say this, stubborn and hard-headed as a head coach? When you have a talent like Le'Veon Bell, why not try to figure out, like Todd Haley did at the Pittsburgh Steelers, how to utilize his skill set instead of trying to fit him into your system?
Well, I disagree a little bit with that because I've watched him. Todd Haley did a good job with him. He also had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and at the time he had AB, who was clearing out a lot of stuff, opening up the box for Le'Veon. He ran against a lot of light boxes in Pittsburgh. With the Jets, it was a lot of heavy boxes because we all know they don't have that kind of talent on the perimeter. So I think it's unfair to dump it all on Gase, the lack of production. Look at the stats and the analytics over the last 2 years. Le'Veon, there was no glimmer of where he had one run where you could say, oh, there it is. That's the guy we've been looking for. There hasn't been any of those flashes.
So, Rich, I guess When will we start getting some good news out of the Jets organization? This seems to be a death by 1,000 cuts. If it's Jamal Adams forcing his way out, if it's LeVeon Bell, if it's what's going on with Sam Darnold, when do you project us to finally get something positive coming from the Jets organization?
Nothing on the horizon, that's for sure. I mean, look, it's the worst year, and I hate to bring up a memory for Keyshawn, but, it reminds me a lot of 96. This is the first time they are 0-5 since 96, and there's some parallels going on. But I think that 96 team had much more talent on it than the current team. Keyshawn, I think, would agree with that. But right now, I don't see any good news on the horizon. They're going to lose almost every one of their games, if not all their games. And, I think we'll probably have more locker room brush fires along the way.
So is Adam Gase coming back next year to be the coach?
No, I mean, I would be shocked. I mean, look, I think Adams on a week-to-week right now. They don't have a bye week until week 10. If they're 0-9 going into the bye after a Monday night loss to the Patriots, you could see something happen then. I don't think Christopher Johnson wants to fire the guy. He really likes him. Look, he came out after week 1 and called him a brilliant offensive mind. So I don't think he's going to be quick to do a 180 and fire the guy. I think he wants to let him ride it out, see if he can get it fixed as some of these injured guys come back and see what happens. But no, Keyshawn, I would be shocked if he's back in 21.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.